Elizabeth George Speare by Penny Messing. Elizabeth Speare was an American children's author born November 21, 1909 in Melrose, Massachusetts. Her parents, Harry Allen, an engineer, and Demetrius Simmons George, were always very supportive of her. She had a very large, extensive family, but only one brother. Elizabeth was a very happy child. She spoke of Melrose as, quote, the ideal place in which to have grown up, close to fields and woods and near to Boston, where we frequently had family treats of theater and concerts, end quote. By the age of 8, Elizabeth already had a gift for writing, and by the time she was in college, had written several stories. However, her writing career would come at a much later time. Elizabeth graduated with a bachelor's degree from Smith College in Northampton in 1930. In 1932, she received a master's degree from Boston University. She went on to teach English in private high schools from 1932 to 1936. Elizabeth met her future husband, Alden Speare, an industrial engineer, in 1936. That same year, they married and made their home in Connecticut, where they raised 2 children, Alden Jr., born in 1939, and Mary, born in 1942. Raising a family left Elizabeth no time to pursue her writing career. It wasn't until her children were in junior high school that she published her first work. It was a magazine article about skiing with her children, and later wrote about her experiences as a mother. Her writings were later published in magazines such as Better Homes and Gardens, Woman's Day, Parents, and American Heritage. Elizabeth was well known for writing historical fiction novels. In this genre, the time periods are accurate and the settings are often real places. The main characters are fictional, and minor characters reflect real people of that time period. Elizabeth's main characters were young people whose experiences led them to places in their lives where they had to make very difficult, heart-wrenching decisions. Calico Captive, written in 1957, received the American Library Notable Book Award. This story was inspired by a diary written by Susanna Willard Johnson, which Elizabeth read while researching the history of New England. Susanna wrote about her family as well as her sister Miriam being kidnapped by Abenaki Indians in Charlestown, New Hampshire in 1754. Elizabeth's version keeps the time period which is at the beginning of the French and Indian War. Susanna, her husband, and 3 children, along with Miriam, are sold to the French in Montreal, Quebec, after spending several months with the Indians. There they suffer separation, servanthood, and prison. Miriam does not go to prison, but is a servant to a wealthy French family. After the family gains freedom, Miriam must choose to accept the marriage proposal of a wealthy Frenchman or return home to look for the fiancé she left behind. In 1957, Elizabeth wrote The Witch of Blackwood Pond, which earned a Newbery Medal the following year. This story was inspired while she did research on the history of Connecticut, at which time the people believed in witches. Elizabeth writes about Kit Tyler, a young woman forced to leave the home she loves in the Caribbean islands to live in Connecticut colony with her aunt's family, who are strict Puritans, after she becomes an orphan. Kit finds it hard to adjust to Connecticut, but finds comfort in the meadows. There she meets and befriends an old Quaker woman named Hannah. The people of the town believe Hannah is a witch who has cast a spell on their children because many are sick and dying. When they discover Kit's friendship with Hannah, she too is accused of being a witch. Elizabeth's third novel, another Newbery Medal winner, The Bronze Bow, was written in 1958. Instead of colonial times, this time it was written in the time of Jesus. The inspiration behind the story was to show children that Jesus could be a real living character. It was set in the time when the Romans took over the land of Israel, and they had murdered the father of a young Jewish boy named Daniel. The incident left Daniel's sister traumatized, and Daniel was now the head of the family. He had so much hatred for the Romans, he joined a band of guerrillas to try to seek revenge. Afterwards, he hears the teachings of Jesus and has to re-examine his position. Could love be the answer? Elizabeth's fourth historical fiction novel, The Sign of the Beaver, written in 1983, won 3 awards: the Newbery Honor Award, the Scottsdale Award for Historical Fiction, and the Christopher Award. This story is once again set in colonial times and inspired by the story of a young boy left alone one summer in the wilderness. He becomes friends with a young Indian boy and his father. Elizabeth's character, 13-year-old Matt, is left alone in the wilderness to take care of the house he and his father have built, while his father goes to bring the rest of the family from Massachusetts. He tells Matt he will return in 6 to 7 weeks. In the meantime, Matt becomes friends with a young Indian boy, Etienne, and his grandfather, who saved him from a bee attack. Etienne teaches him how to survive in the wilderness after his gun is stolen by a white man. After waiting for months and his family not arriving, the Indians ask him to go north with them because of the winter coming, so he won't face it alone. They tell him his family will not come. Matt is torn between the Indians, who have accepted him as family, and his own family, and must decide what to do before they too leave him behind. Many of Elizabeth's books were mandatory in schools across America. Some of her books, which are out of print, include Life in Colonial America. Elizabeth has been recognized as one of the Educational Paperback Association's top 100 authors because her books have sold well. She was also named as one of America's most popular children's authors. In 1989, she received the Laura Ingalls Wilder Award, which is for distinguished and enduring contributions to children's literature. Elizabeth passed away November 15, 1994, at the age of 86 in Tucson, Arizona.